We're delighted to say a very good morning to a man who's seen both sides of the coin, to be fair, former Labour MP, now a Reform defector, but a good man. Simon Danczuk, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good to join you.
Getting a name check there from Matt Vickers, who said Danczuk's a good man. Simon, you were a Labour MP. You voiced repeatedly on this station your frustrations with Starmer, with the Labour machine, which is why you left. A 13th U-turn in a little over 18 months. Digital ID cards no longer now compulsory, but they were in October. On a serious and calm note, does not every single person in this country have a right to say, I don't believe anything that comes out of this man's mouth?
Yeah, they do have a right to say that, and they'd be correct in saying it, wouldn't they? I mean, let's just remind listeners that they had 14 years to prepare for government. They were out of office since 2010. Labour were last in office in 2010, and so they've had all that time to prepare, and yet they've come to power with no plans to deliver anything of substance. I mean, that's the reality of it. I was with some friends last night. We were trying to think of one positive policy that they've implemented in the last 18 months. And it's very difficult to come up with something, to be quite honest. And as you point out, 13 U-turns, that's nearly one significant, these are substantial policies.
They are.
U-turned every month since they've been in power, and now we see it in terms of digital ID. I mean, it was a nonsense policy to start with. The British public, this just doesn't fit with the British public. So they would have known that when they announced it last October. They announced it in the run-up to the Labour Party conference, if you remember. And I think they did it in reaction to a Sun newspaper investigation, if you recall, which showed that Deliveroo and Just Eats and these food delivery companies were employing illegal immigrants. So on the basis of that, the Labour-Starmer policy was to make everybody in Britain carry a digital ID card. I mean, what's the nonsense in that? Just because a couple of businesses can't manage their employees correctly, we all have to have ID cards.
I remember at the time thinking, well, what you should do is you should do two things. I remember saying it. You should summon the business leaders of those huge conglomerates and tear a second one off them, and then you should send the police and the authorities to where these known illegal migrants are and deport them out of the country. It's like yesterday. You know, he goes on TikTok and says, we're launching this brand new app on TikTok which is going to say, you know, this is misinformation, don't come to Britain. It's absolute rubbish. I don't actually take any pleasure from it. I was as critical of the Tories as you were at the end, and I respect Matt Vickers. I think there's a long way to go for the Tories to regain the ear of the British public. But this guy has completely astounded so many of us with the level of incompetence, Simon, the real level of incompetence, the lack of planning, the lack of foresight. Almost everything comes crashing down.
Yeah, absolutely. And you recall that the digital ID issue is a response to illegal immigration, which has gone up under Starmer. The numbers coming here illegally has gone up significantly. And he came to power. One of the first things he did in July 2024 was to stop the Rwanda plan. That was actually shown to be working. It deterred people from coming across the channel. And it was just being implemented by a Conservative government. It could have carried that on and it would have deterred people from coming into the country, but he axed it on ideological grounds. This is the problem with Starmer. I mean, the reality is, in relation to the broader issue of illegal immigration, is that I think he believes in open borders. I mean, that's the reality of it. I think he's happy for people to be coming here. I think we have to accept that that's his view.
Well, let's just go back, if we can, quickly to October to give you an idea. This was 14 weeks ago. This is him absolutely extolling the virtues of digital ID. Have a listen, have a watch.
This government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
It's not, though, is it, Simon? It's not as simple as anything with this man. Nothing makes sense. Can we talk about X? I don't know if you heard the breaking news yesterday. moves by the government to ban X, and I kept saying, and I would keep saying, as I'm sure you would as well, nobody wants to see these revolting, disgusting images, and, you know, big tech should be brought to task. But the accusation, of course, was that Starmer, again, the optics, rubbish, jumps up and down and says we're going to ban X. It's disgusting. Grok, yes, completely agree. Doesn't mention any other platform. People jump on the bandwagon and say, well, is that because X criticises you more than anything and Musk doesn't like you? And then on the same day, launches his app on TikTok. And you just find yourself with your head in your hands. We had a development this morning, pal. X has now restricted overnight Grok from generating sexualised images of women and children, which is great, after Labour planned to make it illegal to create non-consensual intimate images. He'll call this a success. However, it's still responding to requests to put men in bikinis or sexual positions. So I expect that Elon Musk will still be able to send that horrible picture of Keir Starmer in a bikini, which put me off my biscuit.
Yeah, absolutely. This was an attack on free speech, wasn't it? This was more about Starmer and Labour MPs not liking the fact that on X, Twitter as I still call it, there's free debate and criticism. I think I'm right in saying that Keir Starmer's posts on X have been community noted. That's where objectively the platform corrects anything that somebody says.
Well, he put one out a couple of weeks ago when we started this show saying, you know, your energy bills will go down by £150, and within a second they said to him, no, you're lying. The cap's gone up. People are still worse off. I mean, it's extraordinary.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and they don't get an easy time on X, Labour MPs and Keir Starmer, and that's the real reason that they've been attacking it. That's the reality of it. They're trying to close down free speech. But it's interesting, isn't it, that as you point out, that he then goes on to TikTok, which is a Chinese-based platform, and is promoting that. And I think he has a real issue with China. I think it's a real problem for Starmer. He's far too close to China, in my opinion. Something that we have to challenge.
Well, there's an interesting story in the paper today. He's been branded Peking's poodle, getting backlash from all sides as he prepares to approve China's mega embassy. Can I just take time out of our chat? I want to play this. Our new roving reporter, Samara Gill, send our Samara, SOS. Brilliant side, just getting her out and about. She went yesterday down to the Chinese embassy to just give people the idea, because just for people who don't understand, there are plans to build this super Chinese embassy in London. There are real concerns from security issues. This is Samara Gill.
Today, Keir Starmer is set to approve plans for a Chinese super embassy, and that will be in the Royal Mint. Once a bastion of British values and currency, it's now a derelict building, and it's set to be overtaken by China. Now, there are many planning issues here that are yet to be confronted and could be a massive security risk for the country. There are fresh concerns after a leaked memo revealed that there are several redacted rooms contrary to the initial plans. Now, these redacted rooms apparently are in very close proximity to fiber optic cables that could contain extremely private and confidential information that you would not want the Chinese embassy to have. There are telecommunications cables right underneath, right where I'm talking right now. But Keir Starmer seemingly doesn't want to confront these problems. Nothing says, well done, China, than giving them a prime location here, right opposite Tower Bridge.
The Prime Minister's spokesman told reporters this is a quasi-judicial process and an independent planning decision will be made by the Secretary of State for Housing, Communities and Local Government in due course. Any potential national security issues associated with this planning application have been considered and addressed.
Simon Danshuk, you touched upon people's beliefs that he is Peking's poodle. What's your response to that piece by Samara Gill?
Yeah, I think it's a real major concern. This is the largest embassy in Europe that the Chinese will have if it goes ahead. And I think Steve Reid is the Secretary of State, Labour Secretary of State responsible for this, is likely to make a decision on it today, I think I'm right in saying. And I think it's a big mistake if they let it go ahead. It's in a very sensitive position. As Samara pointed out there, it is directly next to very confidential financial information cables that run through the City of London. And we know what China's like. I mean, we've plenty of examples. They've been caught spying throughout the United Kingdom on numerous occasions. So I think it needs to be rejected. I think this is a big mistake for the Labour government.
I couldn't agree more, and more from Samara later. I just want to bring it back to the good, hard-working men and women. Rachel Reeves, who I know you know, bless you, was blasted last night again for the 837,000th time as pubgoers hit by a double whammy of pricier Guinness and diluted alcoholic drinks due to this devastating tax grab. Great headline on the front of the Sun, pal, the Inn Reaper. We always try. You know, your party, as was, not now, the Labour Party, called the Labour Party, was supposed to be for the working men and women of the United Kingdom. I don't think these people in power have any understanding about what they're doing to people's rights, people's joys, but I also want to talk about the hospitality and pub industry. It's an utter disgrace. You create growth by encouraging small businesses. They are decimating people's livelihoods. I think Matt gave us a figure of nigh on 118,000 people have lost their jobs in the hospitality and pub industry since this lot came to power 18 months ago.
Yeah, unemployment more broadly is going up massively under this Labour government. It's the party of worklessness, not work, as it used to be. But in terms of hospitality, this is right. They're increasing duty on alcohol by well over 3.5%, and so that puts a lot of money on a pint. And the pub industry is already under pressure because of national insurance increases and because of business rate changes. This is going to see lots more pubs closed. I went for a pint in Hampstead Heath over the weekend.
That was brave.
Yeah, no, well, it's quite posh up there, I didn't realise. £7.80 for a pint of lager, £7.80. Goodness me. And that's going to go up from the 1st of April. So you're going to be paying £8 a pint. I mean, it's outrageous. Pubs are going to close as a consequence, no doubt about it.
There was a text earlier saying, I know you're talking about Starmer's U-turns on digital ID and stuff like that, but he said, I'm just a hard-working man trying to make a living who wants to have a drink in the pub and wants to pay his bills and, you know, wants to just be treated evenly. And he said, we're desperate, we're struggling. It's really, really hard. Just quickly, you defected to Reform. Not a big hoo-ha for you. There was a big hoo-ha yesterday, Nadeem Zahawi. It's quite interesting from my point of view. Half and half, really. Many people saying, great, you know, you're telling Reform they need seasoned and professional politicians. It's going to be a huge job. Others saying, nah. And they weren't talking HMRC, and they weren't even talking about the fact that he ran the Tory party for a while. They ran 100% about he being the vaccine man, and they would never forgive him and saw it as a mistake, him moving over. What's your take on that yesterday, Si?
Well, on a personal level, I like Nadeem. I think he's a good guy, you know, on a personal level. Whether the Reform Party can just keep bringing in former Conservative politicians is an interesting question. It begs the question, if you want to vote for a party, why not vote for the genuine article and just vote for the Conservative Party? Voting for Reform and just getting a load of former Conservatives, what is the point? I do think they have to look at this and try and establish themselves as a party, centre-right party in their own right, and not just keep bringing over former Conservative politicians. I think there is a question there. I think the public are right to ask what's going on. I
think there's two things I want to say on that. One is, and you were one of the very few Labour MP, well, probably the only Labour MP who's defected. I'd be interested to see whether there's any Labour defections on the way. The other thing is, of course, the millions of people in this country that voted Tory, Si, who have moved to Reform because they believe those core values are with Reform, you could say to them, you've gone from the Tories to Reform, and so have various people. For me, very much like you, if you're going to move, I want to know it's because you believe in the product and it's not to either extend or save whatever political career you feel you might or should have. And I think that's a really, really interesting point. Mate, we love having you on. Weekly, please, for me. You're very popular with the viewers and listeners. Thank you so much indeed. Amazing. Simon Danczuk, former Labour MP and now a Reform defector, 720.